Hi, this is just a short video to show what happens if you replace the stock lens on SIG Thermal CompactPro thermal camera with a different type of lens. So before I show you the actual videos, let's talk a bit about how this works. Here in the picture you can see by the arrowhead the stock lens. It's relatively small, and this is how it looks if you remove the ring that allows you to adjust focus a bit easier. The ring itself doesn't really have any optical properties. It just allows you to adjust the focus a bit easier. But yeah, that's what the actual lens looks like. And on this next slide, you can basically see where I will be imaging. It's nothing fancy. It's just a wall that's about 4 meters in front of the camera. And no matter what, no matter which lens I will be using later on, I will always be imaging at that wall from the exact same spot. So essentially you will be able to see how the image zooms in without me actually moving the camera. As you can see, the camera is kind of clamped on the optical table, and the wall obviously also remains stationary. So at that point, from video to video, the only thing that actually changes is the type of lens that I'm using. Okay, so this is the video with the stock lens. You can see that there is a pretty good angle of view. You can see me actually walking to the wall. You can see that the thermal reading on the camera are pretty accurate. And yeah, so it's pretty much working as it does by default. And now I'm removing the stock lens and I'm adding the different lens instead. This one has much greater focal length. This lens is made of a different material. This one is made out of zinc selenide, as opposed to the stock lens that's actually made out of, I believe, germanium. But as far as the optical properties go, they are similar enough where this shouldn't really affect the test that much. You can argue if the actual anti-reflective coating on the non-stock lens is worse. But, well, yeah, that's the lens I had, so that's the lens I worked with. And as you can see here on the video, this lens effectively it gives you zoom. So this lens is about 6 times greater focal length, and essentially it gives you 6 times closer image. Essentially it zooms times 6, if you will, or, well, something like that. Not exact numbers, obviously, but you can see that the image is still pretty sharp, actually. And even more so, the contrast is still there. However, the difference is that you can no longer get accurate temperature readings in this mode. And then the last test I want to show is, again, the same setup. The difference here being that this time around, I'm actually using a lens that has an even greater focal length. This time not 38 millimeters, but 160 millimeters. And as you can see from the video, you can barely actually see anything. You can see that I'm kind of moving my hand. You can see fingers barely. The amount of light you're gathering from such a small area, it's just not really enough to be visible on this sensor, I guess. Again, you can make an argument that maybe some kind of anti-reflective coating would have helped here. But really, I believe this just has to do more with the fact that at this focal length, your effective aperture is just tiny, so the amount of light coming through is just, it's not there. The fact that the camera can still even make it good enough to see the contrast between the hand and the wall, like that alone is actually, I guess, pretty good, all things considered. But obviously no kind of temperature readings are happening essentially, and yeah, the contrast itself is pretty bad.